listener production.
Hi, Helen Smith here with you. Welcome to the briefing. The tech giants are at war and Elon Musk is leading the way, suing Apple and OpenAI over several claims, including OpenAI's ChatGPT is being prioritised in the Apple App Store.
I think that even if Elon Musk was able to get a seat at the table, it'd be fascinating to know whether his policies are in any way matched with what Apple would require of a company to be a third-party AI provider on the Apple platform.
So does Elon have any chance at winning, or is this all a PR exercise for his own AI company, Grok? That's coming up in the second half of this episode. First though, let's get into the headlines with Dan Mullins. It's Wednesday, the 27th of August.
Hey Helen, and to you listening. The family of a man on the run after killing 2 police officers in country Victoria yesterday have been found safe. 2 officers were shot dead and a third seriously injured after 56-year-old Desi Freeman opened fire on them when they attempted to serve a warrant on him at a property in Port Punka, about 300 kilometres northeast of Melbourne, yesterday morning. The officers killed were a 59-year-old detective and a 35-year-old senior constable. The older officer was just weeks away from retiring. The injured police officer is also a detective.
Victoria Police had thought the family was with Freeman when he fled into the bush after the attack, but now believe he fled alone, confirming the family was talking to police overnight. Freeman is believed to be heavily armed and hiding in rugged terrain not far from the property where he lived in an old bus. Victorian Police Commissioner Mike Bush had a message for the gunman.
My message to that person is give yourself up so that the community can be at peace and we can have this matter resolved peacefully.
The officers visited the property yesterday to serve him with a warrant for historic sex offences.
Freeman describes himself as a sovereign citizen, believing laws of the state and nation don't apply to them. Here's Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen at a presser last night.
All of our efforts must be placed behind supporting the work of police and emergency services who are deploying every resource to bring this person who has engaged in a hideous criminal act to account.
Locals are being encouraged to stay indoors.
Iran has promised to take reciprocal action in response to Australia expelling its ambassador over accusations that the country's government was behind anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney and Melbourne in 2024. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese confirmed the Australian Security and Intelligence Organisation had credible intelligence to determine Iran was behind the attacks against the Adass Israel Synagogue in Melbourne and Lewis's Continental Kitchen in Bondi in Sydney.
These were extraordinary and dangerous acts of aggression orchestrated by a foreign nation on Australian soil. They were attempts to undermine social cohesion and sow discord in our community.
The PM gave Iran's ambassador and 3 other officials 7 days to leave Australia and says the country's Revolutionary Guard Corps would now be listed as a terrorist group.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has responded to the claims in a post on X, saying they make zero sense and that Albanese was a weak politician and that Australia was only taking the action to compensate for a tougher recent line on Israel.
The accusation that has been made is absolutely rejected. This decision seems to have been influenced by the internal developments in Australia.
That translation of Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bayakeh, thanks to First Post, who also claimed this move against Iran is a move against diplomacy and that it appears to be compensation for the limited criticism Australia has directed at Israel. However, ASIO Chief Mike Burgess says his team have been working on the investigation for months and can confirm the links, but did not believe Iran was involved in every act of anti-Semitism in Australia.
The executors of the estate of the late pedophile billionaire Jeffrey Epstein have been ordered to hand over several documents, including a book that contained messages for his 50th birthday. James Comer, leader of the House Oversight Committee, has issued a subpoena to provide all entries contained within the reported leather-bound book compiled by Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. The subpoena gives a deadline of the 8th of September for the items to be turned over.
The book made headlines last month when the Washington Post claimed it contained a bawdy message from US President Donald Trump, who was then Epstein's friend. The Post claimed Trump drew the outline of a naked woman around a message of best wishes for Epstein. Trump called the story fake news and is suing the paper for defamation. In response to the subpoena, a lawyer for the Epstein estate confirmed the request and says the executors would comply with all lawful process in this matter.
Among other papers, the subpoena also requested any document or record that could be reasonably constructed to be a potential list of clients involved in sex acts, or sex trafficking by Epstein. The US Department of Justice, the FBI and Ghislaine Maxwell have all stated that no such list existed.
If you're dreading your annual hay fever with spring arriving next week, you're not alone. A new report has found 1 in 3 Australians lives with an allergic disease, and the financial impact is massive. It costs the nation $18.9 billion in financial losses and $44.6 billion in non-financial impacts yearly.
Financial losses are direct costs to the health system or people taking time off work, and non-financial impacts are the costs of stress, anxiety, and the impact on our way of life. The Costly Reactions report released today says there are more than 8 million Australians who live with allergies, making the average financial cost per person $2,318. Hay fever is the most common allergy, followed by food and drug allergy.
And Tay Tay and Trav are engaged. Just when you thought her year couldn't get any bigger, after announcing her new album The Life of a Showgirl last week, Taylor Swift's now getting married to her 3-time Super Bowl winning boyfriend Travis Kelce. They announced the engagement on Insta overnight, saying, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married," with the post sending fans into overdrive, getting more than 10 million likes in about an hour.
The pair started dating in 2023 after Travis expressed interest in the pop star on his podcast. And if you're wondering, Dan, which I know you are, it's a massive emerald cut gold ring. Now, there's been no announcement of a date for the wedding, but it will quite possibly be the world's biggest wedding, as in ever. Now, Dan, you're our in-house muso. Are you a Tay Tay fan?
Huge fan. She is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But Helen, the other thing she is a poet. If you take the music away and just read her lyrics, she's a poet. She's a huge force in musical history, probably not seen the likes of which since Bob Dylan in the 60s.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. I'm sure all the Tay Tay fans will be loving you there, Dan. And I agree. There's a reason why she is now a billionaire because of her songwriting.
Unbelievable.
But that brings our headlines to a close for today. Coming up is my deep dive on why the world's richest man is suing 2 of the world's biggest tech companies, Elon Musk versus Apple and OpenAI. Have a listen to that up next. Elon Musk is taking on the world's biggest tech giants, suing Apple and OpenAI. So, there's the richest person in the world in one corner and 2 of the world's most powerful tech companies in the other, with potentially billions of dollars on the line. It all started with Apple and OpenAI working together on integrating AI into the latest version of Apple's top-selling iPhones. And Elon Musk says Apple makes it impossible for other AI apps, like his own Grok, to make an impact on Apple's App Store, with OpenAI's ChatGPT consistently topping the list. So now, it's lawyers at the ready. Trevor Long is Nine's tech guru and founder of everythingfortheman.com. Trevor, why is Elon Musk suing Apple and OpenAI?
Well, the cynic in me says it's because he just doesn't like the companies. But he claims that they are prioritising, Apple is prioritising OpenAI in several ways. He's claimed for several weeks now that they've been prioritising them in the Apple App Store. But he also thinks there's a level of anti-competitiveness to the way Apple has done a deal with OpenAI to serve Apple users on their smartphones.
So Elon says, as you kind of mentioned there, Apple's decision to integrate OpenAI into iPhone's operating system will inhibit rivalry. Is this a valid argument?
It sounds like it should be at a glance, because if you think right now, so for people that don't know, if you've got an iPhone 15 Pro and later, you can use this thing called Apple Intelligence, which broadly speaking is a bunch of AI features in the iPhone. But if you ask Siri something that it doesn't know the answer to, it can essentially trigger off to ChatGPT and give you more wholesome answers. Now, you would argue, hang on a minute, why is it ChatGPT and not Grok, Elon's version, or Gemini, Google's version? But I was at the announcement of Apple Intelligence 18 months ago and the revised kind of renewal announcement of it only a few months ago. They've never talked about it being exclusive. In fact, I am confident that at the announcement they talked about them building this third-party access outside of Siri that could work with any AI. It's just a matter of those companies have got to do those deals with Apple. So I feel like Elon might have missed that memo.
So on the other hand, what do you think Apple is hoping to achieve with their decision to integrate OpenAI? What's their end game?
Apple is a long way behind in the race for AI. If we look at it as literally just a race, whether it's a 400-metre or a marathon, Apple is basically still at the blocks and they are struggling to get away from the blocks. They may be investing big time internally at trying to build AI, but it really feels like they need these third parties. There are a lot of companies doing AI, Microsoft, Google, Meta, OpenAI, Perplexity, there's a lot. But Apple's not one of them. And so they need to have this level of smarts because people are looking for it now and they don't want their users to think, well, I'm going to go to Samsung because they've got better AI. So I think Apple's intent is to show their users that they can harness the power of AI on their devices. And to do that right now, the best and simplest way is to offer them up the OpenAI solution, which is ChatGPT.
And how much AI is operating on our iPhones now compared to what it might be like in maybe even next year or years to come?
It's a good question. I think we are scratching the surface of what's even possible in AI. But then a lot of the AI conversation is slowly moving towards kind of privacy and how much of this is happening in the cloud, like how much information do you want to give to these companies? So Apple's very strict and strong on privacy. It's something they literally hold core as one of their key tenets. And what they want is a lot of AI happening literally on your phone. The power that we have in our pockets right now with an iPhone is phenomenal, and it's quite possible that a lot of AI processing can be done on our phones, but we are doing very little. If you're taking an email and saying, can you rewrite this in a more professional manner, that is a heartbeat's worth of AI knowledge. That's toddler-style AI. Whereas what we're going to be doing in the years ahead with photo, video, audio, and just general intelligence would probably be frustratingly huge compared to what we're doing now.
And going back to the case, so is taking on Apple and OpenAI a smart move by Elon? Like, could he actually come out on top?
Look, I doubt he'll come out on top. I doubt it'll even go very far. But Elon Musk loves a headline. The bloke spends his days thinking about how he can just upset people, create headlines for himself and get us talking about him because, in the end, one of the things that these headlines and this case would do if it proceeds further is exposes more people to the fact that Elon Musk has an AI. Look, I don't use Twitter anymore or X, whatever he calls it now, so I don't get exposed to his Grok AI. But if you're someone who's anywhere near his platforms and you hear him talking about this, then you may start to use it more. I think a lot of this is pure publicity. And look, I can't take it away from him. It's almost genius. And the man is a genius. But I don't think it's smart to take Apple to court when they could be a good partner at some point in the future. He'd be better off trying to partner with them than to be an enemy of them.
And speaking of partnerships, another aspect to all of this is that Musk and OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, actually started OpenAI together and then they split. What do we know about their relationship now? Is this all another aspect to this brawl that we're seeing?
It is not a happy divorce. They are not going to Christmas parties together, even with the kids, if you know what I mean. Look, Musk, to his credit, was a big part of the founding of this enormous AI company that is OpenAI. But he didn't like the way the company was going, and so he split from them, and he has been hypercritical of them ever since. And that's half the reason why he set up his own. He wants to be a competitor to them. He wants to be better than them. You've also got to remember that Elon Musk was one of the very early people to flag AI as being a risk and something we should be very cautious about in the world. So there's this very strange kind of personality that comes out of Elon Musk. And I think that once you're burned by Elon Musk or Elon Musk burns you, in Sam Altman's case, they'll never be friends again. Elon will carry that a long time. So he will do whatever he can and spend whatever money he's got to work against OpenAI and Sam Altman.
And to your point before, this headline and story has got us talking about Grok, which Elon wants to be this big player in the AI space. What you mentioned before about no exclusive kind of partnership with Apple and OpenAI being clear, do you think that this is just him kind of trying to get back because he missed that boat?
It could be, but it's a very strange way to go about it in any business terms. But the thing is, when Apple does partnerships with people, because you've got to remember, Apple is not just going to let everyone come in and just be this AI interface. They will have strict contractual terms where, you know, what the AI can do, how it will use user data. They are very strong on privacy, as I said. So I think that even if Elon Musk was able to get a seat at the table, it'd be fascinating to know whether his policies are in any way matched with what Apple would require of a company to be a third-party AI provider on the Apple platform. Because you've got to remember, Elon is very strong on openness and free speech and, you know, the stuff that is on his platform, some people would absolutely not want to see publicly, but it's there. So I don't know that the two companies would align very well, even down to the basic contractual terms.
And how much money are we talking about when it comes to a case like this? There's millions of dollars in AI that we're seeing investment just continue to grow. How much money could we see be spent on this?
Elon Musk has endless pockets. We've got to be real. The man is one of the, if not the richest, he's second richest man in the world. And he doesn't seem to have a problem spending that money. You know, purchasing Twitter was a huge, ridiculous expense. He'll never get that money back. So I think any legal costs here, in the millions or tens of millions, would be absolutely nothing to Elon Musk. And frankly, he would probably enjoy spending more money to drag this out. Whereas if it was any smaller company that didn't have those pockets, I'm not saying Apple would just want to crush them and move the case on, but they'd probably very quickly move to a more reconciliation style mediation. But this is more likely to push closer to the courts just because Elon Musk has no concerns burning through millions of dollars a day.
So what do you think we're going to see next? Who could come out on top, and will we actually see this proceed further?
I guarantee you won't see anything from Apple. They won't comment on it. They won't talk about it. If it actually gets into a courtroom, the Apple litigators will simply work against it as a fundamental case. But if it was to proceed into any sort of evidentiary hearings, that's probably what Elon wants. He wants to bring out documentation from Apple. So that would be interesting if it got to that level. But I do sincerely believe it's probably a bit fruitless in terms of being a case, and I don't think it would make it that far. And I think in the end it'll just work positively for Elon in publicity terms, and Apple will just stay out of it as much as they can, other than having lawyers process the paperwork.
Trevor, thank you so much for joining us on The Briefing.
A pleasure.
That was Trevor Long there, Nine's tech guru and founder of everythingfortheman.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Briefing. That's it for now. Before you go though, while you're there, if you could share this app with someone else you think might enjoy it, it's a really easy way you can support everything we do here on The Briefing. And you can check us out on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. I'm Helen Smith. Catch you next time.